Good morning, friends, wherever you are, and welcome to today's cichlids and a lot of coffee. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night for some reason, so today will be cichlids and a lot of coffee. Hope you have a good cup wherever you are, and hopefully you're having it out of one of these channel mugs. That would be cool. So I hope you're having a good weekend. I know it's just getting underway here. I see people coming on the stream. And by the way, we will be giving away some goodies. One of a prior winner didn't want their goodies. I mean, didn't necessarily want it. It was just a variety of circumstances, and they just said, "Look, just give my stuff to somebody else." So I have a medium North Fin. Here, I'll show you on a close up here. Hold on. I have a medium North Fin tea. So if you're a medium, you're going to want to get into this, and some food. Some North Fin food, and even some Bug Pro. A little bit of Bug Pro. So hang in there for that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do just a number, or maybe a little bit of movie trivia, so you can win some goodies. So let me get an AV check. Somebody out there tell me, how does it sound and how does it look? I am checking the chat for an AV check just to make sure you can hear me. Shane Cowger in the house. Hey Kendall, good to see you. Daniel's here. Chef Steve in the house. Eureka Red has given me some fry. Well, that's cool. AV is good. Thank you, ex-colleague Kev. Thank you for that. The AV is good. Proverbs, thank you for that. Chef Steve, thank you. All right. Good. So, with that in mind, let me rearrange the screen so it's a little easier for me to work with. There we go. All right. So let's do the official start of the stream. All right. It's official now. So, more folks are jumping on. Just Fish. That's good. Just Fish is good. You know, one of the themes of my stream is, in my mind, just fish. I know a lot of streams get off into a lot of stuff, and people enjoy it, but I like to keep my streams on just fish. And so welcome today. DSGF in the house. Michael in the house. Tracy and Ronald's here. Joy of Fish Keeping. Yes, sir. Robin Rayner in the house. Joy of Fish Keeping is sort of the theme of today's live stream. Wally's Freshwater in the house. Z-Zip. Fisherman 357 504. All right. Hello to you. Hey, Josh in the house. Good to see you, Josh. I was just thinking about you. Josh has provided me with some very hardy fish, from the Congo tetras to the tapajos to the discus. I mean, these fish are just bulletproof, and not sure where you get them, Josh, but man, oh man, they are Very, very hearty. Hey, Whip. Whip is doing the moderator duties today. We'll probably have some more moderators jump on. Moderators help keep things family friendly. So while we're on the topic of Josh, be sure to check out Cunningham Tropicals, and don't forget to get that 15% off on both fish and dry goods. Hey, Daniel Ingalls. Daniel in the house. Hi to you. So check out Cunningham Tropicals. Josh, of course, is all in. Goes to a lot of shows, and his fish for me have been. I don't know, Josh. I don't think we've lost a fish. But anyway, just bulletproof fish. Highly recommended. If you want to support the channel, visit Teespring, pick up a mug, and that you can have during your coffee and cichlids live stream. You can have your coffee out of it. There's also t-shirts and all kinds of other good swag there. Check that out at the Teespring store. Also, if you'd like to support the channel very sort of indirectly, but it does help, use this link to get to Amazon. And what that does is when you buy something on Amazon, whether it's from my store or anywhere on Amazon, it gives a small percentage to the channel, and it helps out. Now, of course, the best way you help out is to watch the videos and comment and give things a thumbs up and subscribe. But if you want to help out a little more, consider becoming a Patreon, a member of the Garage Gang. These are monthly supporters. Starts for as little as $3 a month. Some give a lot more. They have asterisks next to their name, but it's just an awesome way to support the channel, and it really helps out a lot. If you're just getting on, we are going to be giving away some Northfin food and a medium Northfin T-shirt today, and I think we might do movie trivia. I think that might be good. A quote from a movie. And because of my age, sometimes I'll throw quotes out there that were long before some of you were born, but that's the way it goes. So let's see here. More of you are getting on, and today's topic, like so many topics for live streams, today's topic was inspired by just some things I'm running into out there in the wild, and folks saying that they're hitting a wall, and it's not that uncommon. It's not that uncommon for people to run into something in fish keeping, whether it be an equipment failure, sudden die off, things of that nature that will knock the person back. Now, any of us that have been in the hobby for a while, we've been through it numerous times. Anyone who says they haven't had at least one setback that rocked their world is probably lying. There's always we're keeping these creatures in a box of water, and we're trying to replicate conditions that might exist in nature, but of course that becomes next to. I mean, we can get close, I guess, but it's hard, and it's not. It's probably next to impossible to get it just right, the right amount of biology, the right amount of conditions to make it identical to what's out there. So we have this box of water, and sometimes we mess around with it, Sometimes we have things on our hands that we don't know we have on our hands, or that we forgot to wash off, or it didn't wash off enough, and we pollute the tank. Sometimes we shock the tank with a shift in pH after a very large water change, or we'll have somebody start the dishwasher while you're refilling a tank, and all of a sudden the water that you're using is ice cold because all the hot water is being used elsewhere. So there's a lot of moving parts. You can sometimes import a nasty virus, or a nasty parasite, and no matter what you try, you just can't get your wits around it. You can't get it under control, and one by one your fish start dying, and it drives you crazy, because what do people do? Well, they test their water. Well, my nitrates are almost zero. My nitrites are zero. My ammonia is zero. My temperature's perfect. I'm doing my water changes. Well, the parasite doesn't care. It just keeps drilling and killing, and unless you're a scientist, in some cases you're not going to figure it out. You're not going to know, and that mystery is going to knock you backwards. Now, so what can we do? What can we do to what are the things that I see mostly in the emails and the comments I get that tell me that they might be leaving the hobby? Usually it's a big die-off, or it's a equipment failure. They had a tank that busted a seam or something, and they lost a lot of fish. Sometimes it's cost. It's just gotten the Oscar just lifted the lid on the 210 gallon. Did you hear that? Anyway, so sometimes it's cost related. The hobby is expensive, especially if you have a die-off on large fish that are in the neighborhood of 75 to 125 each. And if you're buying them from someone far away, you're paying $50 to $100 in shipping. So that sometimes comes up, like it's just gotten too expensive for me. The other one is time. I hear time a lot comes up a lot as a and this could be because of an increase in family obligations. Kids have come along, or maybe someone requires more care in the home than they did before. Someone's gotten very old, someone's gotten ill or injured, or perhaps there's been a change in job where now they're away, they're traveling, and so they can't be around their tanks as much. So there's a lot of factors that can result in somebody wanting to step back. Now, the advice I give, and if you've been following my channel for a while, you can predict some of the things I'm going to say. First of all, you have to stop sometimes and ask yourself, why did I get into this hobby to begin with? What was what got me? What hooked me, right? And every one of you has something that hooked them, some reason why, something, a feeling that you got when you visited someone's home and saw their tank, or got your first tank, or went to a fish store. There was something inside of you that sparked. There was a spark. I can still remember it, and you should be still feeling that. Now you might say, well, I don't know, that was because I was a kid, and no, you should still be feeling that joy, that excitement, that fun. And if you're not, you should step back and take a little bit of inventory. You should step back and go, okay, when did this stop being fun? And when was it fun? And the equation that I always use, I always suggest, is to recreate the circumstances of when you were having the most fun. And sometimes you hear this in discussions about MTS, right? Multiple tank syndrome. Do any of you out there have multiple tank syndrome? If you have more than, where would you draw the line on multiple tank syndrome? Would it be 10 tanks or more? Tell me how many tanks you have in the chat. And let's see if you have multiple tank syndrome. Let me take a look at the chat here. Now, I'm currently running 8 tanks, and if these fish come in that I'm expecting, it'll be 9 tanks, because I'm going to set up an additional tank for quarantine to spread the fish out across several tanks for quarantine. Because they're a little bit larger, I can't have too many in a 29-gallon hospital or quarantine tank. But but how many tanks do you have now? It's not just tanks. It's also gallons. One of you might have 2 tanks, but it might be you might have 4,500 gallons. Susan for SLC Aquatics. Hello, Susan for SLC Aquatics. Discus North, good to see you there, buddy. Discus North is somebody I've been watching as part of my discus adventure. I am looking at the chat as we speak. Hey, Nestor Giles. Nestor Giles says, I started this hobby a year ago. It has helped me in many ways. Thank God for beautiful fish. Well, there you go. I mean, how many times have we heard the story, right, of, and I'm not saying this is your situation, Nestor, but we hear the story of a person who was in a bad place, you know. Maybe they were suffering from PTS or something. They had something going on, and some syndrome, and the choice was, okay, do I go on to some type of a medication with a lot of potential side effects, or do I take up fish keeping, right? And for some of them, fish keeping has actually helped them to get it under control. So it is medicinal, and there is a lot of research out there that shows reduced heart rate, improved blood pressure, improved mood and disposition, a lot of things connected to keeping fish. So if you can get somebody to hang in there, it's better than them not hanging in there. So so let's take a look at this idea of okay, so let's say you have 10 tanks, and in the time it's taken you to get your hobby going, you started a family, and now you have 2 kids, maybe 3 kids, where you didn't have kids before. Or maybe you have a job with a long commute and where you didn't have that job before, and now you're away more. So it's not easy, but for some folks, the recipe to get the joy back is to cut it back. Go from those 10 tanks down to 4 tanks, 3 tanks. And how about the fish that you're keeping? You know, a person decides, okay, look, I'm gonna try a challenging fish. You won't believe how many times I've heard people giving up on African cichlids on the fish behind me. Either the cost, the time, the aggression. Number one probably is the aggression. It finally just it kills them off. They go, that's it. I'm done with waking up and coming downstairs and a fish has been torn to bits by another fish and I have no idea who did it, and they just sort of give up. They throw in the towel. And so, okay, well, what was the fish that you were keeping when you were having the most fun? Well, I had some. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's Google. Google, stop. Anyway, I do have Google, and I have sometimes I just scream out the name of a band when I want to hear some music. I think she thought I was talking to her. That's listening. My phone is listening. Probably the computer's listening. And so, not a good time to be a paranoid individual. So, okay, so you tried African cichlids. You tried discus. You tried monster fish. And the cost is killing you. You don't have the time for the maintenance. Your energy costs are too high. Don't leave the hobby. Turn that tank into what you had before and you were winning with. Go back to guppies. Create an awesome planted tank. And make a beta sorority out of it. I mean, there's options that you can do, but very often the one that I would recommend first is think back to that feeling you had when you first got into fish keeping, and that thing that welled up inside of you that made you reach into your wallet, or maybe if you were very young, beg your parents, and ended up in you having a tank. And try and keep that kindled, like keep that alive. And if you don't feel that, if it's become work, if it's become, now, for people like Josh, it's going to be work. I mean, I don't know, what do you got, Josh, 100 tanks? And he's got it very automated, but it's work. But it's a business, and that's different. I'm talking about those of you who are in this for the joy of it. It should be joy. It should be fun and not something that you're sitting upstairs, you're watching your favorite TV program, and the back of your head you're dreading that you've got to go downstairs and do maintenance. That should not be part of your life. Even the maintenance should be really a lot of fun. So let me get your thoughts on this. What have you hit a burnout? And if you have hit a burnout, what did you do to recover from that burnout? Let me know. Have you hit a burnout that took you to the edge where you almost walked away, but you ended up hanging in there? What brought about the burnout? And how did you manage to hang in there? I'd like to know that. And while you're thinking about that, we have some Northfin food, some sample packets, some Bug Pro, great stuff, and a Northfin T size medium. Medium. We're going to be giving those away. And I think we'll use a little bit of movie trivia. One of my favorite movies. Hold on, I had it on my phone and it disappeared. Okay, here we go. Some of these you probably wouldn't get. Some of these I wouldn't get. I'll give you one that is fairly well known. Some of these would be really easy too. I don't think I can read this one. Okay, here you go. You should be able to get this one. I do believe Marcellus Wallace, my husband, your boss, told you to take me out and do whatever I wanted. Now I want to dance. I want to win. I want that trophy. So dance good. What movie is that from? I am checking the chat. Let's see who got it. Price tag, you might have actually inspired today's topic to some degree. I've been getting it from various places. MIDI Mac. MIDI Mac. Are you the first one who said that? Hey GP, is MIDI Mac the first one that said Pulp Fiction? MIDI Mac, you are the winner, my friend. If you are the first one, I think you were. You are the winner. Lord of the Rings. Was there dancing in Lord of the Rings? Uh, very, very cool. All right. That wasn't my first pick, but I couldn't find the other quote. It just disappeared. I hate that when you put something on your phone goes to sleep, you open it up, and what you had on, it's gone. All right. So let's take a look at some of the comments related to today's topic. And by the way, if you want me to address your comment specifically, if you start it with Ben Ochart, that way it jumps out at me in the chat. Josh is leaving for San Antonio. I'm telling you, the guy's all over the place. Chef Steve, I have never had a problem with that. Josh, if you want to chime in, being a manufacturer of food like you are, but I have not run into a problem. Midi Mac, you know the drill. Just send me your full name, mailing address, and I know you've done it before, but do it again. It reminds me, and just put on the subject line medium tea, and send that to ben.o.cichlid at gmail.com. ben.o.cichlid at gmail.com. You probably have the email address already. So Josh says, I agree. I do not like floating food for that reason. We sell it slow sinking. Interesting. I have some of the, I do feed some of the sticks, some of those floating sticks, and I have noticed that the reason I do it is because I need to set up different levels of eating for the fish. Like the Oscar dominates the top of the 210 and really clears out the area. So he'll come out of the tank. Half of his body will come out of the tank. It's I mean, don't feed him right before you need to go somewhere because you're going to get soaked. So, and then the big vieja and the chocolates will stay right like several inches down, staying out of the way of the Oscar, and the other fish were all like middle to bottom. So I have to provide various levels of feeding. So I definitely, when I feed the bigger fish, in the 210 and the 300 behind me, I feed side to side and at different levels so that everybody gets a shot. Like especially the newer fish. Like when I feed the fish in this tank behind me, I really like I'm watching the new Autopharynx tetrastigma. I'm like watching him. I'm watching the Venusus. I'm watching the sand diver, the gar. I'm just making sure that they can get to food because they're at the bottom of the pecking order. So I'll go real fast to one side, fast to the other side. I'll drop, and it's all mixed together. I have some of the floating sticks in with some Sarah, with some Cunningham, some Northfin. You can see it all in there if you can make it out. Not sure if you can make it out from this angle, but there's floating sticks in there. So there's a little bit of everything. It's all one mix, and I'll throw some to each side, to the middle, all over the place. And makes a big, and that way everybody gets a shot. Now, that's not so important with my planted community or the discus. The discus aren't quite, they're not as aggressive, and they don't like try and clear out competitive eaters. So you can be a little more relaxed in that setting. Whip's World, the best way to support the channel is to give Ben lots of money. If some of you would like to super chat, that's down at the bottom of the chat. If you'd like to super chat, thank you, Whip. But you can also just watch and give it a thumbs up, like and share and subscribe. That also works. All right, I am cruising the chat here. So hang in there with me. Let's see what jumps up. Some of you might get some ads during the live stream. That's something that YouTube is experimenting with. Mossman, love your show. Thanks. Thank you, Mossman. I was close. Josh has 96 tanks. 96 tanks. Ron has 5. Susan for SLC Aquatics 10 plus 2 tubs. Shane Calgary at 4 down to 2. So you cut a couple back there. Proverbs, I've got 2, used to have 5, but couldn't manage it. Now see, rather than leaving the hobby, you cut back. See, that's really what I'm talking about. KZ has 4. Michael has 12. Wow. South Bay Sapphires has 4 tanks, and Josh Pagakis, 3 tanks. So we have a whole wide spectrum here. Melissa Steves has 9 tanks. Mike Smith has 6 tanks in operation and 1 tank for quarantine. M&C Aquatics had well over 100. Wow. And went down to 20, now about to go 10. I'd like to hear the backstory on that. That's a huge change. 100. Were you breeding? Were you breeding and selling? Did your wife draw the line? Tracy has 18. That's a lot, Tracy. Midi Mac almost bought a 210 last week. Wow. Mike Smith has 420 gallons. Very cool. Ex-Kali Kev. Yeah, Predatory Fins has massive tanks. I went to an Aquashella years ago. I think it was in Orlando. And he had brought in, I mean, with the use of a crane and things, he had brought in like an, I don't know, 800-gallon tank. I mean, it was just gigantic. And I think it was just too much. I don't know if he's gone to Aquashella since. Chef Steve has gone from 20 to 12. Best thing I ever did was downsize and remove the small tanks. Okay, so you're mostly big tanks. I've seen people go in different directions. Some people go from, like keep the big tanks. Some people go back to just smaller tanks. But the truth is, and those of you out there, you probably know this already, a larger tank is more forgiving and a little bit more resilient to mistakes and pollution, a little more, just a little more, it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. But you do lose that wiggle room if you're doing 95% water changes. You do lose that big tank, that dilution advantage. Ron, tanks for veterans. Very, very cool. And I have heard from a lot of veterans who use aquariums for therapeutic reasons, and it provides them a lot of comfort. KZ, 4 tanks, 600 gallons. Those are big tanks. GP, 500 gallon would be awesome. A lot of things to consider, right? From how much weight your floor can bear. I mean, you start to get into those sizes, and you start to have engineering and structure considerations that have to be taken into account before setting things up. So and filtration. I mean, a 500 gallon. I mean, you'd probably need a 210 as a sump, right? So end up with 700 gallons. That'd be pretty awesome, actually. Dave O, hey to you. Whip has 14 tanks and a 40-gallon tote for mutt guppies. I don't know what to do with, but it adds up to about 1,250 gallons. That's a lot, Whip. You got a lot going on there. Mutt guppies. Don't know if I've heard that term, but definitely applies. Susan from SLC Aquatics. Yes, I've hit a burnout and still trying to recover. I'm hanging in there because I care about the fish. I'm listening to you and hoping to find where I am at the moment. I love the people too. The people are, I think, the best part of the hobby, and that's why I go to these events every now and then. They're really they can be pretty expensive to get to Dallas or Orlando or something like that, Chicago, but it really helps me to reconnect with people and really see just how the people involved in the hobby are really a good crowd. And that's always what I come away with when I go to these events, that the people are just amazing. But did something, and if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to tell me, Susan, but did something in particular set off the burnout? Like, did you have a die-off? Did you have a tank crash? Has it gotten too expensive? What is there something in particular that assuming you want to share, you don't have to, but I'm just kind of curious what knocked you backwards? M&C Aquatics, what got me to stay in the hobby was getting back to what started it all. That's exactly what I'm talking about. In your case, barbs, and now rare and uncommon fish. Oddballs are just a lot of fun. Oddball fish are just, I think, amazing. But you go back to the beginning. I've heard this applied. You can apply this to anything. Like let's say you hit and I'm not going to turn this into a the love channel. You can apply this to a marriage or a relationship, right? Where, okay, you know what? What was my initial attraction to my wife? Because boy, you can get into a lot of details, a lot of noise and baggage and nonsense. But sometimes you just got to cut it right back to, okay, what was it that first attracted me to her, right? And that usually gets me back on track. And her sense of humor, when she laughs, there's certain things that were very. So if you can rekindle that, you can usually, like that old saying, like those two people that got together to begin with, they're still inside under all the baggage. So you can probably apply this to anything, any area where you've lost interest or it's become a little bit dull or boring. You can kind of rekindle the original spark and think back on that and go, oh yeah, you know what? That's still there, I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. Siciliano Toronto. Ben can stay still like the best mannequin in the world. What? Ben can stay still like the best mannequin in. So if it wasn't for the fish, you at times would think that your screen was frozen. because I'm so rock still. Maybe I'm a replicant. Who knows what that comes from? Where were replicants a big deal? What movie was that from? Hurricanes in South Louisiana will make you want to stop keeping. I'll tell you, just fish. What that to me would be a case for getting a gas powered like a generac, one of those backup whole house backups that kick in the second they detect a power outage. That would be the. I mean, here we get blackouts, and I've got uninterrupted power supplies. I also have a 12,500 propane powered backup unit that I can plug into a 50 amp plug on the outside. So I've got some backup, but we don't get the kind of blackouts that you get like in the Gulf, like places closer to the Gulf. I'm cruising the chat. Cruising the chat. GP, you can pull the air out of floating pellets if you want. I mean, they become at least the North Fin ones. They get saturated pretty quickly. Well, I think Shane won the lottery. I just moved in with my fiance, and she's a big supporter, and thus we created a 260 gallon in a fish room where everyone can hang out and enjoy. Well, there you go, my friend. You're blessed. My wife is a supporter but doesn't enjoy fish. Every now and then I'll drag her down here because she does like the discus, or I'll show her something I did, and she genuinely enjoys it. But if I never brought it up, she would never come down here. She's not into fish. So there you go. Ruben Rivera Jr., did I say hello to you? Whip's World. Arowanas don't usually eat food on the substrate, and not even food suspended in the water column. The truth is they like to get food that's outside of the aquarium, like sitting on a branch, like a small snake, a monkey. Somebody just hit me with a super chat. Thank you so much for that. Let me find that super chat. Mike Hunt. Thank you, Mike. The blue polar cichlids, I have 3 breeding pairs that are brooding now. I'm just wondering if I can slightly tweak the temperature and how that will affect the male to female ratio. Boy, you're above my pay league, my pay level there, Mike. I'm not really sure if that would. I do know that raising temp or lowering temp can sometimes trigger breeding behavior. It certainly does in African cichlids. But if you have some information for Mike on how tweaking that temp can affect the male-female ratio, go ahead and let's help Mike out. What do you say? South Bay Sapphires. What a great name. Yeah, it looks like he ran into a power outage, and that resulted in a die-off. But some great fish peeps helped him out. There you go. It is a good community, isn't it? Wally's Freshwater Aquatics, Warren Venter. My burnout is maintenance on aquariums. Well, that's very often what starts it. I mean, apart from die-offs and equipment failures, injuries I sustained in a motorcycle accident back in 2016 makes maintenance difficult. I have found ways to make it easier. So it kept me enjoying the hobby. Yep. Yep. I've heard, Wally, the like folks with especially lower back and back issues can be very difficult. And it looks like Susan for SLC Aquatics running into the same thing: health issues, weight gain, heart health. Knocked me backwards. Health is improving, but fight tiredness. Don't want to get to participate in local clubs or conventions and more. Yep. And you know, that's it. It's something that people. This is real. What's going on here, and that happens, whether it's becoming immobile or a loss of strength, like somebody who is getting older. I would say do not go get an FX6, because if you've got to pick that sucker up, you're going to have some people over. That's a heavy canister. I would say stick with big hang-on back filters. Very easy. You don't have to bend over. I wouldn't even suggest a sump to somebody who's having trouble with their back or health issues, because sometimes you've got to pull that sump aquarium out from under the tank. I mean, sometimes it requires that kind of inspection or work. So these are all things like, what kind of tank and setup would you want to have in your 80s, in your 90s, God willing? You've lost a lot of muscle mass. You're a little stiff. It's a little hard to bend over, right? So these are real issues that people face in the hobby. A $2 betta? That's awesome. Chef Steve has good advice. Get a vitamin B injection. Have you ever had a where you go and they give you like a vitamin drip, where you lay down in a chair and they actually put a whole bag of B vitamins and all kinds of other good stuff? It's pretty good. That's what we had some COVID hanging around the house a few years ago, and we all went for a vitamin drip, and it really helped. Paul 165, it's a must. Let's see, Wally's Freshwater Aquatics. My husband about me. Okay, I'm going through the chat. Kendall G, having trouble with her son. Are you sure it's full before you plug it in? Be sure it's full. And let me see what other tip I could give you. Because yeah, they're not. I mean, you plug it in, you've got the hoses connected. I mean, those hoses, somehow you got to fill the hoses with water. Either create some kind of a siphon and then shut them off. Like create a siphon into a bucket, maybe by sucking on it, and then when the siphon starts, close it, and then bring it over and then put it onto the top of the sun, and then open it up and then plug in the sun, because you'll have a siphon already going. And then very gently push down on the top button, but don't pump the button. Don't pump the priming button on the top. If that's what you have, if you have one of those large places that you pump down on, don't pump it. Just push all the way down and hold it for 5 seconds. And then let go. And then tilt the canister back and forth a little bit. You'll see bubbles coming out of the output. And then do it again. Hold it down for 5 seconds. Let go. Let it come up. Move the canister back and forth for a few seconds. Watch bubbles come out. Keep doing it until no more bubbles come out, and you'll have a fully primed sun. But yeah, they can be tough. Just be sure you fill it to about 3 inches from the top with tank water or conditioned water. And if you fill it to the very top, when you put the lid on, it's just going to overflow everywhere. So just go like 3 inches from the top. Put the top on the pump unit, and somehow try and start with water already in the hoses. And that might require some clever siphoning. But try that, because otherwise, yeah, it's a pain in the rear to get it going. Yeah, Paul 165, very similar to what I'm doing. And I've got Kendall, I've got a whole playlist on, if you go to my Sun playlist, I have several videos on how to get those suckers going. I've had 301s, 302s, and 704Bs for many, many years. And they're workhorses, but they have to be set up right, and you have to know how to prime them. You don't want air in the system. All right. I'm still looking at the chat here. Validated. I don't. He's still around. Got a very busy job with a major oil company. So, but he's around. I'm in touch with him. A great guy. We do miss him. He's asking about the inquisitive fish guy. IFG. I think he's living down in Houston. And yeah, the hobby was better with him in it. I mean, he'd put out some wild content sometimes, but Paul 165, I leave them always running. You're probably referring to canister filters, and I do the same thing. I don't do water changes that are so large that the canister has to be turned off. You can usually go down 20-30%, and the canisters will continue to draw water. If you go below that, the canister will start to pull in air, and then you've defeated your purpose. So yeah, I leave them running during a water change. Whip Swirl, the best way to get a Sun going is to buy a... Oh, let's not start that debate. I like Fluval. It's a good can, but I've had problems with it. I mean, if you go into my Fluval playlist, you'll see. Looks like we restarted the. Okay, I guess we're starting over. I guess we'll go another hour. If you go into my Fluval playlist, You'll see my ups and downs with fluval canister filters. But overall, I think they're good. I mean, when I was up in Cincinnati at their big the big convention up there with you, Whip, and Jerry Martin, and I think Joe. I think Joe stopped. Did Joe? Were you there? Or am I thinking? I'm thinking about a different. But at any rate, up there at that big event, I think I bought another fluval up there, an FX6, because at the end of the day, they are sort of the battleship. Even though there's another brand that's coming out, it's primarily in Europe right now, which is giving, and I'm not talking about OACE. There's another brand. It has two sets of input outputs. So it runs two inputs and two outputs, does 1,000 gallons an hour with a variable gallon per hour adjustment, so you can adjust the GPH. So I might be looking into one of those at some point. But yeah, they are, as of right now, they are the battleship. All right, so there you have it. And as you can see from some of the comments, a lot of us have run into something. And the difference between us and folks who are not on this stream and are not going to be around anymore is that we got back on the horse. And for some folks, they don't get back on the horse. They just say, forget it. You see their tanks on Craigslist, and it becomes a great deal for one of you because you go out and you pick up a 200-gallon acrylic for $300 because someone threw the towel in. Sometimes it's circumstances you can't do anything about. I mean, a person becomes severely disabled. They're not going to continue the hobby. A person gets a job where they're out of town 6 weeks at a time. They're not going to continue in the hobby. A person loses their job and doesn't have the money for the utilities, for the food, for the upkeep. They're going to get out of the hobby. So there's lots of moving parts. But don't leave the hobby because you overreached with MTS. Cut it back. Go back to the fish that got you into the hobby. Go back to the amount of gallons that are easy for you to maintain with all the other demands that are in your life at the moment, and you'll hang in there. And you'll continue to be able to come have coffee with me on Saturdays. All right? Okay, folks. So that being said, I want you to look for a video. I have a video coming up right after today's live stream. I think about maybe around 1 or so. And it's going to be about a trip I made to the aquatic critter. The reason I was up late last night is I filmed it on my phone, and then I couldn't get it to render, which is when you take the edited video that is in the editing software and you turn it into an uploadable video. I just ran out of memory. I ran out of memory space on my phone, and I couldn't render it. So I had to do this huge workaround where I had to delete a bunch of stuff on the phone and then plug the phone into the computer, transfer the files over to the computer to a new type of software, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I was up till about 1:30 in the morning. But you'll have a video at about 1 o'clock on my trip to the premier local fish store here in Middle Tennessee, and I hope you enjoy that video. So look for that. It'll be coming up in about an hour. Okay? So there you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for sitting in. You are the best. You know that. You are very appreciated. And somebody got on me last week because when I ended the live stream, I didn't give them the music. So I'm going to make sure that you folks get your, let me find that. Let me find that file so you can have your end off music and everybody can be happy. Here we go. I think I found it. There it is. All right, my friends. I'll see you next week. You're the best. Thank you for stopping by. And watch my video this afternoon. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.